Hello, welcome once again to The Sheet. Glad to have you aboard today. Thanks to everybody, by the way. I just mentioned this in the chat a couple of seconds ago at our Daily Faceoff YouTube page. Thanks to everyone who joined us yesterday on our free agent program from 11 to 2:30. Shepherded along by Tyler Yaremchuk. Thanks to everyone who stopped by. I thought Hart Levine made a particularly strong debut. Would you agree with that, Zach? That's the founder of Puckpedia. Was notably exceptional yesterday in his big network debut.
Yeah, I particularly liked the little box. What did they call it? The cap corner? Cap cam?
Cap corner. Cap stick him in cap corner. And then
every 10
teams
seconds,
have felt like that,
him.
by the way. Teams have felt like that at various times. Fuck, I'm in cap corner right now. I can't do anything.
I think they have a different word for it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, cap hell.
Yeah, they're one. Yeah.
But prison,
I particularly like that. I thought he was great. I thought you did an excellent job.
Saying Laz Colby, what do you think? Yeah, I did a great job yesterday. This is. We'll be right back. Man, I need a break. When's summer vacation?
So I'm watching, and
performance.
The first time you throw to them, they got in an argument. The very first time.
Impact players, man. Those two guys are the impact players. No, I know, it's great. I love
yesterday's coverage was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah, it was a great show yesterday.
It worked out great. We're really thrilled with how everything went yesterday. One thing before we get into what's on the program today and talk about yesterday and talk about today and speculate about tomorrow, and we're still waiting for a Nick Ehlers announcement somewhere. Is it Carolina? Is it Washington? We shall see. One thing I want to draw your attention to, I'm kind of dropping this one on you, Zach, here at the last moment as it just sort of dawned on me. I don't know how many of you follow the CHL import draft. Zach, do you follow the CHL import draft?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
I love hockey, but I'm not that familiar.
Let me tell you something about this year's edition of the CHL import draft. The Brantford Bulldogs I think it was the third round. There's 3 rounds in the import draft now. They drafted someone by the name of Alexander Karamanov. Do you know what's interesting about him?
No.
He's 7 feet tall. He's the biggest hockey player in the world. He's 273 pounds. Have a look. Go to dailyfaceoff.com. Tyler has a piece on him. Alexander Karamanov drafted in the CHL import draft by the Bulldogs. And just have a look at him. I tweeted this out when it happened, and then I put a video along with it, like a 15-minute feature that someone put together of him playing with a junior outfit in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Pennsylvania. It's spectacular. Now, I think the plan for the Bulldogs is to get him to play Tier 2 for a year, then see if he's ready or not to join the OHL. But just the visuals of this guy, 7 feet tall. The biggest hockey player in the world was drafted by the Bulldogs today in the CHL. Now, he is if I'm not mistaken here, you can do a quick check on EP. I think he's going to Penn State in 2 years. Do you see what I'm talking about?
I found a picture here. I'm going to try to get it up on the screen as soon as possible.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Just when you see this kid, he's a defender. So naturally, the comparisons come up with Zdeno Chara. In the feature that I tweeted out, the interviewer asked him if he's ever met Chara, and he said he met him once, but he lost the picture. Like, first of all, he's a charming kid. He's huge. And I don't know what more to say about him other than he's like a massive project now for the Bulldogs in the OHL. If they can, I'm assuming, get him here and then probably stick him in Junior A somewhere where he'll be a star. Like, honestly, if he's playing in if he's playing for Wellington or Trenton or my local team, the Stouffville Spirit, you'd go. If he's playing for the Aurora Tigers, you'd go. Just to see this guy, right? Like, wherever this guy goes, he's going to sell tickets because he's 7 feet tall. There he is, if you're watching us on YouTube. It's so good.
That's an insane visual.
I don't mean to laugh, but you're right. The visual is insane. I don't believe in sort of, laughing at people's, physical appearance. But guy's 7 feet tall. That's before he puts on skates. Anyhow. Alexander Karamanov. Congratulations, Spencer Hyman. and the Brantford Bulldogs. I'll tell you what, man, the Hyman families really distinguished themselves quickly here in the OHL with some surprise signings and now drafting 7-foot hockey players. And there it is. I don't know what more I can add with that other than they just drafted a huge kid in the import draft.
Yeah.
That's it. He's big. He's large. Okay, let's see what's coming up on the show today. Daily Outline is powered by FanDuel and 7-foot hockey players. Make every moment more with North America's #1 sports book. And coming up on the program today, we may have to bring that visual back up because the player's 7 feet tall. Jonas Siegel from The Athletic will talk to us about Mitch Marner and the Vegas Golden Knights and the Toronto Maple Leafs and what's next. It is a Shay Day here on the program, as we like to call it. So Shayna Goldman from The Athletic and the Too Many Men podcast stops by. Marner to Vegas and the press conference and the high fives and the wrestling with the 93 jersey to try to get it over his head. I don't know if I've ever seen anyone have a harder time putting a jersey on, especially someone who plays in the NHL, but there it was. We'll talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs offseason. We'll do a little free agency recap. And as you put in here, winners and losers, I've made this mistake before. I think we've all made this mistake before. I think, as a matter of fact, we made this mistake last year. And that is proclaiming winners and losers too quickly. What did we talk about last year? About who won free agency, who was going to all of a sudden punch their ticket. All of a sudden they have a shot at the Stanley Cup. Holy smokes, Barry Trotz, an amazing job in free agency. Mm-hmm. That was incredible. They just won the Cup in July. When's the last time we saw a team win the Cup in July? Well, Barry Trotz, the Nashville Predators did last year, right?
Yep.
Right?
What did he describe it as?
Hang on, I just had a wasp land beside me.
This will be exciting if this.
If I get stung, it's gonna be awesome. Hey, buddy, how you doing,
for a
little
good
guy?
Clip.
It would make for an awesome clip. No, he's wandering off now.
Now everyone's gonna see Jeff not move for the entire rest of the show.
No, I don't get freaked out by him. I don't get freaked out by anything except for olives. Just don't like olives around. Yeah, I just can't stand olives.
That's the thing that does it, eh?
Yes, rodents, snakes, olive. No, snake. Oh, you're like my wife. Oh my God, she can't take snakes. Really, eh? Why?
They shouldn't move like that. Why do they move? How do they move? They shouldn't. It defies logic. They're on the ground.
Yeah.
It's just something freaky about them.
I used to have the biggest. I used to be like you. I used to have the biggest phobia of snakes, and I remember specifically when it ended. And ever since then, I've loved snakes. George Strombolopoulos and I have been best friends for, about 25 years now. And when he was first starting out, I think it was even before he got the Much Music job, it's over at his apartment in downtown Toronto on Claremont Street, just a little bit south of Dundas. And he used to collect snakes. And he had this one python, and it was I believe the way he described it was a modeling snake. Like, it's a snake that they use in photo shoots for things. And so he was keeping it for a buddy of his for a couple of months while his buddy was out of town. And this thing was massive and this thick. It was a big snake. And I was always like, dude, when you take that out, let me know because I'm gonna beat it. I'm out of here. So he's just one day I was just sitting there on his couch, and really quietly he brought it. He was like, all right, I'm just gonna go up to the store. I'll be back in 5 minutes. And he dropped it on my lap. And I was my first instinct was panic and fear and then the snake sort of got itself around my arm and then just stopped, and every now and then would just do a gentle little squeeze and just chilled. And it was about 15 minutes I was there with the snake on my lap and on my arm, and then by the end I'm like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And ever since then I've loved snakes, but there was about 5 minutes where it was complete terror. But that's all you got to do. It's like jumping out of a plane to get out of the fear of heights that you have. Just dropped the snake in my lap and said, peace out, I'm going to the store. I'll be back in 15.
I guess. I've always thought, I don't know how we're talking about this, but and we do have Jonas just hopped in. We'll get him ready there. But I have always said, I could never do Fear Factor, because if they ever said this challenge has snakes or those pits of snakes that you get into, it's an immediate no. Like, I would just quit the show right then and there. I'd be like, I'm done. I'm not doing this challenge. Thanks for having me. See ya. Yeah. So it's just like, there's no point in me getting there because I know I'd look and say no.
The name of the show is Fear Factor. You know, it's not Tickle Factor. You're not going to go in there.
But I could do all the other things is what I'm saying. Like the bugs and like all those things and eating the shit.
Just
like
the
random crap they have. I couldn't do the snakes. Like, I just could not do the snakes.
Okay, let's find out the one thing that that Jonas Siegel is afraid of. But before we get there, this segment is brought to you by, we welcome in a new sponsor for the summer, Simply Spiked. There's nothing like that summer hangout vibe, and Simply Spiked helps keep it going. With 5% alcohol and real fruit juice, Simply Spiked comes in 3 refreshing flavors: lemonade, peach, and the new limeade. Sweet, tart, and perfect for any summer moment. I had the in-laws over yesterday by the pool. My father-in-law really loved the peach. It's the ideal sip for a cottage weekend or backyard barbecue. Pick up Simply Spiked at your local liquor store for your next summer hangout. Must be legal drinking age. Please celebrate responsibly. With that, we bring on Jonas Siegel to talk about Mitch Marner and what is next for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I suppose maybe what's next for the Vegas Golden Knights as well. First of all, Jonas, thanks so much as always for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Before we get to hockey, we were just talking about things that we're terrified by, and I used to have a thing about snakes until Strabo dropped this like 15-foot python into my lap one day. And ever since then, I've loved snakes, no problem. Do you have like a snake in your life? Something that you're just like, ugh, I can't do it. I have to be away. Maybe it's snakes. Maybe it's rodents. Maybe it's wasps. I don't know. Do you have something like that in your life, Jonas?
Not really. Like, there's nothing that I really confront in like my day-to-day life that ever threatens me like that. Yeah. I remember Indiana Jones, the snakes like that. Forever like is seared in my mind with snakes, but like when do I see a snake in downtown Toronto? Like, it never happens.
Right. So sharks you'd be fine with too. Like I remember I was when I was like 15 years old, I was on a family vacation in Florida, and a hammerhead grabbed a girl just below the knee and flung her back and tore the bottom of her leg off. And the beach was closed for the whole time that we were there, and a lot of people sort of got shark fears after that, I would imagine. You ever been scared of sharks irrationally, Jonas? San Jose or otherwise?
Really? Like, I don't know why I keep bringing up movies, but when in Jaws, when there's the attack and then like everybody goes back to the beach, and I always think like, would I go into the water if there was just a shark attack? And the answer is probably not, but like maybe like 2 weeks later, like
what are the odds?
Later, I don't know.
It's like, what it's kind of like? It's kind of like, I'm going to try to drag this back to hockey. Richard Zednek, after he got the skate slash along his throat, right? So right away he puts on the neck guard and then takes it off a little while later. And do you remember what he said about it?
No.
It's the most hockey thing ever. He goes, what are the odds it's going to happen twice?
Like, I mean, it's fair, right? Like, you get struck by lightning once. Do you not go outside in a thunderstorm?
Odds, Odds are fine. I'll probably be okay. All right, so we drag this thing back to hockey from snakes and sharks. How did you see yesterday with Marner in Vegas? The jersey, the office celebration, the press conference, all of it. Like, did you have any like immediate takeaways from the whole thing? And by the way, your piece on where did it go wrong with Marner in Toronto was excellent at The Athletic. I encourage everyone to have a peek at this one. But what were your takeaways from yesterday, seeing Marner in Vegas?
I mean, I don't want to say surreal because like it doesn't really impact me any way or another, but it was weird to see him in a jersey that wasn't the Leafs, and it was strange to see him in a 93 when like the reason he is wearing 93 is because his dad's favorite player was Doug Gilmour, and like it just brought back like the whole last 10 years and the way things went, and like how it really shouldn't have come to this point. And like, good for him. Like he looked happy. It's going to be a different experience for him entirely playing there. Every player I've talked to who played in Vegas raves about the experience. It's not under the fishbowl like it is here in Toronto, but it just reminded me of all the different points from his tenure in Toronto where it didn't go the way it should have. And like, there's so many that kind of flashed through my mind. But like, he looked happy. He looked like at peace. And like, I really hadn't seen him like that in Toronto for quite a while.
I have who were we talking to? Was I talking to on the show yesterday? I think it would have been Colby Cohen who said, maybe the big winner here with Marner going to Vegas is going to turn into Jack Eichel. I've always said that, Zach Hyman is probably the luckiest person. Like, if you believe in karma, he must have rescued a family out of a burning house in a previous life, because he came back in this one and has been, a winger for Austin Matthews and then Connor McDavid. Well, here's Mitch Marner, who goes from Austin Matthews to Jack Eichel, who may end up being the big winner and the big beneficiary out of all of it. And, he's going into a contract year. Do you ever thought of two Selke candidates here? I mean, we see two Selke candidates in Florida, but, two Selke candidates now between Eichel and Marner, both playing on the same team.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention, Marner starts his career and he's playing, I guess you got to go back way. He starts his career, he's playing with Tyler Bozak, but then that first year when John Tavares signs in Toronto, he's playing with Tavares, so he goes Tavares, Matthews, and then Eichel. I wonder, I think it's obviously going to be a good fit. I wonder what it looks like, and I wonder what impact it has on Eichel. Obviously, he was kind of hanging around the fringes of the Hart Trophy conversation last year, and now you mentioned the contract. What kind of impact does it have? But I honestly, I can't really think of a way it doesn't fit for Vegas with Marner. He does everything. He's your first line right winger. He's going to be on your first unit penalty kill. They can use, I don't know, how will they use Mark Stone now that they have Mitch Marner? Can they, what impact does that have? And then obviously I've thought about it from a Leaf lens, what impact conversely does it have on Austin Matthews that he's not playing with Mitch Marner? And you wonder what the ripple effect of that is. And then you think back, there was a time in Toronto where they didn't even play together, and Matthews scored 40 goals as a rookie, not playing with Marner. So I think he'll be fine. But you mentioned the Selke Trophy stuff, two Selke Trophy candidates on the same line. Now it's just in Vegas and not in Toronto.
And that it's interesting to you. I don't know if you've ever sort of thought about this one before, but I've always wondered about which is the most important trophy not to trade. If you have a Selke winner and a Norris winner and maybe even a Hart winner, right? Which is the one that you wouldn't want to trade? I know Selke doesn't feel as important to Hart as the Hart Trophy, but look at the Florida Panthers. Look what just happened with the Florida Panthers, and no one there is winning the Hart Trophy. But how many guys, when we think of Reinhart and Barkov specifically, that are always in the conversation for the Selke Trophy? I always look at the Detroit Red Wings with Datsuk and Zetterberg and say, how could Mike Babcock ever lose a line matchup when two of your best offensive players are your two best defensive players at the same time? And now all of a sudden, the Vegas Golden Knights have two Selke Trophy candidates. Marner more prominent, but still. Jack Eichel's in that conversation too. I don't know if you ever thought about which trophy player would you make sure you don't trade. I think you can make a strong case for the Selke.
I think it's right up there. It's especially obviously for a forward. It's Hart, it's Art Ross, Rocket, and then maybe Selke. Is that the order that you put it in? But it's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking the Leafs lose Marner. That's your, I don't know if you want to call them their best offensive player, their second best, or the third best. Yeah. But then conversely, what is the impact on your goals against when you take away your best defensive winger, maybe your best defensive player, or your second or your third, whatever he is. Yeah. And then you look ahead to Vegas, and Vegas obviously a top defensive team already. What impact does that have, not just on their offense, but defensively as well?
So John in the chat submits Marner and Matthews were Selke candidates. Do you have to kill penalties to be a Selke candidate in your world?
I think I used to factor that in when I did voting.
Yeah.
And then there was was it 2 years ago? Matthews was unbelievable defensively. And I think he had a bit penalty killing role at that point. It was kind of showy. It was we'll do it here, and then we won't do it at all for a couple games, then we'll do it again. I don't know. I'm trying not to have as many rules on that stuff. But I don't know. I think
I'm trying not to live by any code. I'm just fast and loose. It's 1967 all over again. Who cares?
That's that's one of the trophies that is the hardest to research and decide on. The easiest one by far is the Lady Byng, because I honestly don't care so much about it, and I don't know.
That one, I think the Lady Byng needs to be redefined, and I think that officials should vote on it, because they're the ones that are on the ice and they're the ones that actually know who's a gentlemanly player and who's not. Like we may look at, I don't know, pick a player who's always
Kopitar.
Okay, there you go, Kopitar. So Andrei Kopitar and the Lady Bing. I don't know. Does he like spit on people's skates at the draw? I don't know, but officials do. How does he treat everyone else on the ice? I don't know, but the officials do. Like, Jeff, to me, that's one the officials need to vote on.
Why do we have that award still?
History?
Can we not do better?
History?
I don't know. Okay,
history.
Fine.
That's why.
Yeah, of course.
It's the weight of history. That's it. That's all it is.
Does anyone, like, to your earlier point, does anyone get really excited? Hey, Jeff, you won the Lady Bing. Congrats.
Listen,
Cool.
Alexander McGillney, who's going to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Remember when he refused to fly back to North America to accept it? Like, even the players got like, hey, he's a banger.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's why I think that one, if you're going to keep it, I think needs to be redefined. We're getting off track here, but
Sorry.
No, it's fine. And to your point about the Selke, I'm still back and forth on, is it the best two-way forward or is it the best defensive forward? You know what I mean? Because it seems like they're all of a sudden now, and for the past however many years, even though the whole thing was created for Bob Gainey, who would like almost like as a rule not get any points. Now you have to put up like at least 50 points to win this thing. Anyhow, I digress. Next for the Toronto Maple Leafs here, we've seen a lot of teams, a lot of Canadian teams outside of Montreal who did add, and I think added significantly, just kind of lock down what they have. Right? Like we saw the Vancouver Canucks lock down as much as what they have. So Besser comes back, Demko comes back. Demko is a huge ticket. Calgary basically just stood pat. They're redeveloping their team right now. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, we still haven't seen them add anything. They locked down Tavares on a team-friendly deal. Matthew Nyes, even though Brad Treliving himself mused about an offer sheet, he comes back. But it's not as if they're adding anything of significance. What do you think is next for Toronto?
Well, he said it himself, like they want a top six forward, and I don't know if that's a winger or a center. Center is obviously going to be harder for them to find, but they need to replace. Not like I almost want to put replace in like quotations because like they're not replacing Marner. Like there isn't Marner out there, even in a trade. Like they're not getting someone who does so many different things for them. And like that's not to say like it's the worst thing that this ended between the Leafs and Marner, because it really did feel like it was time. But they need someone to plug into their top six, because you look at the players that they have right now, the only ones that I can say like 100% for sure are going to be in their top six are Nyes, Matthews, Nylander. Everything else is kind of dependent on what else they can get. The tricky thing for them is like how many teams are wanting to give you one of their top six forwards, whether it's a center or a winger. And then it's like, okay, we do, but what are you giving us? And then it's like, well, we have this, and this. And it's like, well, that's not super valuable to us. And so like the Leafs are challenged not just by what's the market, like how many players out there fit their need, but then what are they going to give up to entice that team? Like you look on their defense, like could they part with Brandon Carlo? Sure. That might make some sense if they can then replace him somehow in free agency or decide to replace him internally somehow. I don't know what that gets you. Like, so they need to find a way to add someone who can help them replace Marner, because like that's a lot of goals. Number one, like he had a hand in like 38% of their goals last season, but then it's like the defensive impact. What is that going to be on them? So like they need to find a way to, I don't know, like they're in a really tough spot, honestly. Like I don't know how they're going to be able to figure this out.
That's why if I'm Easton Cowan or Ben Danford, I'm not having any comfortable sleeps until I'm in the lineup. Until I actually have the jersey on. Yeah, don't buy property. Don't buy a house. If I'm those two guys, I'm just like, I'm a Maple Leaf for now. All right?
And even those guys, like that's the difficult thing for them. Like even like Cowan is their best prospect. How good of a prospect is he? Like, is he a top 30 prospect? Maybe. Like, I'm not a prospect expert. Is he a top 40 prospect? Mm-hmm. So, like, even that is difficult. And obviously, they don't have any picks. Like, that's where, like, the ripple effect of every trade, every transaction to me is, like, so fascinating. Like, if you could go back for the Leafs, and you could go back to the front office and say,
yeah,
do you really want to make that Scott Laughton trade at the deadline? Like, or would you like to have that one back? Because like, if you have that first round pick, like that's not changing your world, but suddenly you have a first round pick and you can throw that into a trade package. That's a little easier than what they have right now.
Last one for you here. Actually, I may have one more. What I've found is, and a lot of people have made this observation, this isn't just me, the Toronto Maple Leafs, even though we all know this is a copycat league and we've seen it time and time again, but they always, when it would be Tampa that would dispatch them, they would try to do things to out Tampa. Ditto for the Boston Bruins. Do you think that what the Florida Panthers did to them in the playoffs is going to lead them into trying to out Panther the Florida Panthers, when everybody knows, like, you're not going to out Panther them? Like, you can't. Like, it's impossible. I've always made the point that, no, you should run the other direction. There's more than one way to win the Stanley Cup here. But everybody assumes that whatever is successful, we have to outdo that team at being that team, which you're just chasing your tail when you end up doing it. Can you see the Maple Leafs going that direction and saying, like, you know what, we need to get like a bunch of like nasty, snarly guys. I don't care if they can't skate.
I am 100% in lockstep with you. The problem for them is this has already happened. Like, this is, go back to last summer, go back to Craig Berube. This was what they had in mind. They wanted to become, like, I know from talking to people with the team, they wanted to become like the Panthers. They saw how the Panthers like changed the way that they play, and they said, we want to do the same thing. Like, we want to be better defensively, and maybe that means we don't score as many goals, but in the playoffs, it's actually going to, be better for the team. It's already happening, and I agree with you, and I kind of feel like they've kind of lost what they used to be and what they used to have as an advantage. Now, you could say like that didn't work in the playoffs before, like the skill, the speed, but it kind of feels like in chasing Florida, they've kind of lost what made them special. And obviously Marner is part of that. Like, he is part of that skill thing. And now it's like you look at their lineup and it's like how many guys really scare you offensively? It's the obvious candidates, but it's not the same. And like, you're right, like, you're not going to be Florida. Like, unless you're going to make 10 awesome transactions in a row, pretty tough. And like, that's why I don't really love the copycat thing in the NHL, because it almost feels counterintuitive to me.
You know what the thing about it is, though, Jonas? You can just see so many people around the NHL, managers, coaches, that just love the way the Panthers play, right? Like, there's like a whole lot of
so hockey.
It's completely hockey. It's old school style mixed in with, like, Sonny Meta's analytics and understanding of roster construction. Like, you can understand the charm, because just to your eyeballs, you're like, this is an old school rough and tumble team, but underlying all of it is one of the more brilliant analytic minds in the entire NHL. It's kind of a team that services both the analytics crowd and the eyeball crowd.
Yeah, and like, you look at like the acquisitions that they made, and it's like, that was a good move, that was a good move, that was a good move. How do they do that? Like, even like someone like on the margins, like Dmitry Kulikov, like they bring him in. He played great, and then they signed him to this. I think he's on like $1 million cap hit on like a multi-year deal. It's like, wait, what? And so like, it's almost like you kind of lose the forest for the trees a little bit with what they've done, where they like are finding value. And like, even Jeff Petrie, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Like that you replace Nate Schmidt and suddenly like he makes less. And it's like, yeah, the puzzle pieces kind of make sense. It's almost like they're outsmarting the league in some ways, with like the bravado kind of masks what's beneath the surface a little bit to me.
I think it's one of those, I think that essentially Carolina is the smartest team in the NHL, but to me, Florida's a close second. And Washington's up there too. Like, none of this is accidental about Washington. Like, this is very, very, very deliberate. I know everyone's gaga about the chase, the Gretzky record and all that, but that's like, Brian McClellan's put together and now Patrick, but like, they put together a really, really smart team here. But again, like, this is a really smart organization, the Florida Panthers. None of this is accidental. It may look a little bit caveman-y, but like, these are all really smart hockey people.
And Jeff, as you know, like, it's not just the tax thing. Like, I know it's just like,
part of
that
it.
Becomes,
it's part
that's
of it.
part of it, but it's not the only thing.
You know what it is? It becomes part of it after you've put together the organization, it's just another box. It's almost like, you play a video game and you get to a certain level, and when you get to that level, you unlock something else that's brilliant. That's what the state tax is. Like, it's a great environment, great for your family, great to raise kids, great practice facility, great place to live, easy access, direct flights, and you get to keep all this money in your jeans. But you got to get there first. Which is why, when the commissioner talked about that with the TNT crew, everything that he said was right. He just didn't take that one extra step, which is, yes, once you have all those things, then all of a sudden you say to a player, oh, and by the way, more money goes into your wallet.
Yes. It's complicated. Even Vegas, like Riley Smith re-signs in Vegas for less than he probably could have got somewhere else. Not just a tax thing, but anyway.
You're right. It's not just a tax thing, but I think we'd be foolish not to even look at this and say
something.
Look, Ekblad took a haircut to go back to Florida for a reason. You know how much he could have gotten in Utah? You know how much Utah was dying for like Aaron Ekblad and Mikhail Sergachev to be their first pair? Ditto for probably the New York Rangers, maybe even the Toronto Maple Leafs as well for Aaron Ekblad. Like, he could have had a big number there. But the reason he's probably more comfortable taking a smaller number and taking a haircut, one, success does that. But two, you look at it and you say, I'm still putting more money in my jeans. I'm still okay because of the state tax. Anyhow, this is a conversation that will never end because I don't think the NHL or the owners have any appetite to do anything about it. Jonas, great work. I encourage everybody to read your piece on Mitch Marner at The Athletic. And you have yourself a wonderful summer. Thanks for stopping by on the program as always.
Thanks, Jeff. Anytime.
There he is, Jonas Siegel from The Athletic, covering the Toronto Maple Leafs. By the way, Zach, do you now have a new favorite 16 with the Toronto Maple Leafs? Is it now, is it back to being Darcy Tucker? Craig Berube once wore 16 for the Toronto Maple Leafs in his brief stint with Toronto. Do you want to go even older school, like the master of the hip check, Leo Boivin? Wore number 16 for the Toronto Maple Leafs as well. He might have been the first to really master the hip check. Do you have a new favorite 16 in Toronto? Oh, you Leafs fan, you?
No, mine was and always will be Darcy Tucker. That's it's going to be Darcy Tucker, and everything about him was just awesome, especially as a kid growing up. I think the funniest possible outcome of all of this would be another guy on the Maple Leafs who actually wore number 16 before in his junior career. If he went and chose to be number 16, you know who that would be?
Who's that?
I believe Max Domi wore 16.
Oh, he did. You're right. Yes. Oh, 100%. Yes, you got that right.
Day one, training camp. We make an announcement. Max Domi is wearing 16 this year. Oh,
gets in a fight in his first game. Crowd goes crazy.
Jumps in the Sens bench. Like eyes
bugging out.
Yeah. See, I've started to
Dad goes down and
like
grabs the guy
with,
too and
taking
starts
off.
Dad goes down and grabs Alfredson just for old time's sake.
Dragging him off behind the glass. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. On that lovely thought, let's get to our next guest. We love her, and she's a presentation of Budweiser. Well, this segment is. Budweiser is encouraging buds to make time for hockey, not excuses. Every goal, every check, every win is better enjoyed with your buds. Phone a bud, text a bud, ping a bud, and call out their excuses for bailing on hockey. When it's hockey time, it's go time, and now we go to the great Shayna Goldman from the Too Many Men podcast and The Athletic, who joins us now. When does summer actually start for you? When can you just hang out with your dogs by the pool?
I mean, I've already been doing that. Listen, I brought my laptop out with me every single day, and I wear my stupid Apple Watch by the pool so I can get pinged and know when I have to run to the computer, and then I can get back in.
So how many of those signing evaluations did you do poolside with the pooches? Be honest.
None yesterday. Yesterday was, we're focusing, we're working.
Yeah.
The day before I did Ekblad and Bouchard at home, and then Marner, in between doing that and Marner, I was sitting in a lounge chair by the pool doing it.
It's a nice life, eh? It's a beautiful.
It's not bad. I have no complaints. Listen, I sit in front of a screen for so many hours that once in a while I need to sit out and get some sunlight. But I do work outside a lot during the day because I'm not I don't like writing during the day. I like writing at night. So if I am going to do it during the day, I like to be outside.
I love it. Just talking to Jonas Siegel, one of your colleagues at The Athletic, about the Marner shock to Maple Leafs fans' eyeballs, even though everyone saw this one coming a mile away. Give us a hot 60 seconds on your thoughts on Marner becoming a Vegas Golden Knight. And we kind of bled it into the conversation about the Selke Trophy, but your thoughts on Marner in Vegas.
I love it. Listen, I've been begging for a Mitch Marner heel turn for years because I think everyone is so mean to him and so overdramatic about everything he does. And I get it. That's the consequence of making almost $11 million. And that's the consequence of being a Toronto Maple Leaf and being a superstar in this league and all this and more. But it's been so overblown. So if you're going to go anywhere and be a heel to the Leafs, it would be the Montreal Canadiens or the Vegas Golden Knights because, they're like the bad boys of the NHL.
They're the ultimate villain team. Oh, you know what, though?
Yeah,
I would have thought, what would have been the ultimate would have been Florida, though, honestly.
Oh, yeah, you know what? That's even better. That is so much better. But then,
Panthers.
I know Leafs fans would have turned it oh, well, if you had Mitch Marner on your side, then we would have beaten you in 7 in this revisionist history. That would never happen.
It's a very, very good point. The biggest beneficiary here, maybe, of the Mitch Marner heel turn might just be Jack Eichel, who's going into a contract year as well, and now all of a sudden he has one of the most gifted playmakers. I'm assuming he's going to play with Mitch Marner. All of a sudden you have Jack Eichel and you have Mitch Marner feeding him grapes 82 games. So it's soon to be 84, but for now 82 games a season here. I know I shake my head at that too. More on that later. Jack Eichel is the biggest beneficiary of this, other than Mitch Marner's accountant, that is.
I'm going to disagree.
Oh, do it.
I'm going to disagree. Okay. I think Jack Eichel is going to benefit from this. Absolutely. Right. Because you kind of look at what happened in that Connor McDavid matchup, and it's not going to happen often to him, right? He can go up against top competition and I think just crush them himself, and it's no big deal, whatever. And when you have McDavid, you're going to need those extra reinforcements on his line. And he got that in William Karlsson. I think Mark Stone is the best beneficiary here because Mark Stone, he's one of my favorite players in the league, right? Love the enthusiasm, love the way he plays. He's so pesky, he's so disruptive, and he does it without necessarily being the fastest skater in the world too. He's such a smart guy. But the reality is, an 82-game season is a lot of wear and tear, a lot of deep playoff runs. That's a lot of wear and tear, and he's aging. So I think if you have someone that can shoulder a little bit more of the burden, I wonder if that will help him, age a little more gracefully and help him in the long run. I think if Marner's the number one winger and now you have Mark Stone as your number 2 at this point in his career, and he still has ways to go, obviously, but he's dealt with a lot of injuries and a lot of back issues, I think you're in a great position.
I was talking to Jonas a second ago, and we were just focusing on Eichel and Marner and saying, 2 Selke Trophy candidates, and completely forgot that you got to throw Mark Stone in that conversation too.
Another
who probably
Selke
should have won one by now. So here's the question that I'll put to you that I put to Jonas. You think of all the individual trophies, okay? The Hart Trophy, the Selke Trophy, the Norris Trophy, the Rocket Richard, the Art Ross, all these awards and trophies. Is there one player? Think of a Selke player, think of a Norris player, think of a Hart player. Is there one player attached to a trophy that you should never trade? I know we'll always think Hart and Norris, certainly, because big-time D are hard to find. But whether it's Patrice Bergeron or Alexander Barkov or Andrei Kopitar or Jonathan Taves, I could make the case for Selke. When you have someone like that in your lineup, man, hold that player sacred. Hold that player sacred. What would you answer?
Okay. I'm gonna go differently. I think the Selke.
Do you want to go out for a walk around the pool with the pooch and think about this one for a second?
Listen, don't tell me with a good time. Okay, I think the Selke's a good one, but I also think you can kind of split up that role. And I think too with Selke conversations, you can have those guys who are never gonna win it in this day and age, right? Because in the scoring and the top tier minutes kind of lead the way in the conversation sometimes. So guys like Jarvis are never going to win it because he's a winger, or someone like Adam Lowry isn't going to get the hype because he's a 3C, and you can split up those matchups between Scheifele and him now, and they're both going up against top competition. So I think that one you can break down in different ways to fill that spot. I'm going to go Norris because I think defensemen are so important on both ends of the ice, especially the new way you have to think about defense, and not just defense in suppressing chances, but extending offensive zone time or stopping something from happening in the first place, I think those are harder to come by. I think defensemen can get very over and underrated. I also think that we know it can be really hard to find defensemen, right? If you don't draft and develop someone, you may never have that true number one defenseman. They don't make it to free agency, and when they do, they're going to make more than a pretty penny. So I'm going to say that is tougher to replace than a Selke guy, but I think it's really tight.
There is another way to get a number one defenseman, and you know it.
Oh, yeah, the Montreal Canadiens just managed to get one from the Islanders. Just hope that a team undervalues that player.
There's that, and I'm sure there's a backstory there that eventually we're all going to figure out and find out. You draft their brother. And eventually they'll want to go play with their bros.
There you go.
That's the way you do it. Speaking of defenders, I'm trying really hard not to just pound on the LA Kings. But I got to ask.
Oh, don't waste your breath. Just pound on them. They deserve it.
Okay, here we go. If I propose to you a trade that looked like this, Vladislav Gavrikov and Jordan Spence in exchange for Cody Ceci and Brian Dumoulin, what would you say?
Because it's a fireable offense.
That's what happened.
Yeah, that is bad business, because you combine the cap hits for Dumoulin and Ceci, and you could have an overpaid Gavrikov, who you know is a legitimate top 4 defenseman that can go up against top competition and do it quite well in LA. And I keep trying to find ways to give the Kings an ounce of slack, because I know I've been tough on them, right? And I'm going, well, maybe they think this can be their third pair. Okay, then why are you paying all of this money and committing this many years to third pair guys, right? Especially when you don't have enough pop and upside elsewhere on this blue line besides Brandt Clark now because you got rid of Spence. Why would you want that to be your third pair instead of, sheltered guys who can add a little bit of offense and help drive play a little bit more with the third pair? Then you say, okay, well, they don't have to play the matchup minutes because Drew Doughty's going to. Well, Drew Doughty's aging, and at a certain point, you're going to want to take a little bit off his plate and split that between the top 4, which is what they've been doing. Well, you can't do that. Dumoulin's not fit for these minutes. No, neither is Cody Ceci. Their numbers are always going to look worse because they play that tough matchup minutes. But even when you factor in the context, what in your right mind would say, yes, that is what we need? They now have 3, because you include Joel Edmondson, they have 3 one-dimensional defensemen that have made this team older and slower. That's not how you beat the Oilers. And you can't just only gear your team up for the Oilers, but that's not how you beat the best contenders in a speed and skill game, especially when you're a team that doesn't get enough offense in the first place, right? So we can all say, well, the Kings have so much structure and the systems are so good, but the players help you maintain that system and that structure, and now you just blew up your blue line and dragged it back 10 years. I don't know what they're thinking.
When you said beat the Oilers, I do have to ask, because now all of a sudden things are becoming more expensive for Edmonton, whether it's Dreisaitl's contract and now Bouchard's contract, which is a 10.5 on the AAV, and they sign Andrew Mangiapane, and I know everyone's looking back and saying he scored 35 goals once upon a time. And generally he's 15 goal scorer, as we've seen throughout the career. 3.6 is the AAV there. And there's still no change in net. I should have prefaced all this entire conversation by saying, generally I try to wait until the end of the summer to see the full body of work until I judge it. So even if it's Ken Holland and the Los Angeles Kings, as bleak as it may look right now, there's a part of me that says, don't judge it yet. As bleak as things look with the Buffalo Sabres and their horrible, horrible asset management, over and over and over again, and we saw it again yesterday, and we saw it by not qualifying Jacob Bernard-Docker, who was once upon a time a key piece of a trade where they traded for a lesser and often injured center and gave up a really good center to the Ottawa Senators, and looked at it and said, well, don't forget we got Bernard-Docker in this, and then he was not even qualified, and they had to attach a second-round pick to get rid of a player and his salary. Even then, I still say, just wait until the summer is over. But how are you feeling about the Edmonton Oilers right now?
I agree. We have to wait until the summer's over. But I also think we can talk shit about them and bully them as much as we want until they fix their mistakes.
All right.
Okay, the Oilers are a tough one for me. I think that they're clearing out cap space on the wings, which is important. I thought Arvidsson on paper was going to be a perfect fit for Leon Draisaitl. It didn't happen. Okay, sure. They managed to clear out Evander Kane's cap hit in full. I think that's a good move too. Obviously, now you have to replace those players. I like the addition of Andrew Mangiapane, but I'm still going, okay, and next? Like, what are you going to do next? What other offensive threats are you going to bring in? Because I think Mangiapane is a good player. Like, I know he hasn't brought it on the score sheet consistently enough, but I think he has a lot of speed and some two-way strengths, which is a good thing to have in this middle six if you can attach him to someone strong. And the one for me, though, is Connor Brown on top of it. I actually really like Connor Brown in Edmonton.
Same.
I think the Devils got a great player. I think you're finally see him get back up to speed. You know, it took him a long time to come back from his injury, and I think we forget how long these timelines are, not just to come back to the lineup, but be at full strength. So that's a huge loss. But I think it's an okay enough start. They didn't overspend anywhere yet. They didn't do anything ridiculous where you go, oh my God, you're just hamstringing yourself some more, right? But you need to find cheap forwards now to fill up that lineup, and that's going to be really tough. And then there's the goaltending part of it all. I think it's a good thing they did not spend on any of those free agents, because I don't think any of those free agents are better than what they have, and what they have is not very good. I think they need to get really creative on the trade market and look for, their version of Mackenzie Blackwood, right? Where it's someone maybe on a bad team who's super inexpensive and they just need a new opportunity, or Sheloffs, or, here's a team with now a potential 3 goalie situation, try to benefit from that. I think the trade market's their best route there, but I don't have faith in a Stan Bowman-led team to do this the right way. I don't think, even if you take all the baggage out of the picture, right? Even if we do all that, at the end of the day, I don't think he's a very good modern day general manager. So good luck.
Here's what I wonder about, because I'm with you. Like, I think it's going to be, a 3 goalie situation where they're worried about losing a goaltender on waivers, and that is Vancouver, and that's Artur Sheloffs. Here's the name that I wonder about here. Tristan Jarry. And Tristan Jarry is well known in Edmonton. Played his junior hockey with the Oil Kings. Tristan Jarry's career has really been like roller skating down a gravel road in Pittsburgh. I do wonder if this is the needs the change of scenery trade and can change him around, depending on who the goalie coach ends up being with the Edmonton Oilers.
I hope you're getting 50% salary retention for the next 3 years, because otherwise, 3 years you're committing.
All I'm saying is, and I know they just traded Nedeljkovic as well, but Blomqvist is going to be the goaltender there. I wonder if it ends up being Tristan Jarry. Because otherwise, like scour the NHL. Like, where are these goalies going to come from? There's not like a dozen goaltenders locked in a closet. Like, okay, who can find the key so all these teams that need goaltenders can finally get one? Like, all of a sudden, you can count on one hand the amount of like elite level goaltenders there are in the NHL, and then there's a bunch of ones that are just like, okay. It's kind of like coaches. Like, I kind of think that there's like 5 or 6 really good ones, and then a bunch of ones that are just okay. Yeah, they're good. Okay, they're good coaches, and I kind of feel that way about goaltenders in the NHL right now. There's 5 or 6 that are super elite, and there's everybody else.
Yeah, you have your elite starters, you have your bona fide number ones, the tier below, and then you have your 1As and 1Bs. One team that's kind of interesting to me on the goalie front is going to be the Hurricanes, getting Caden Primo, and I know his stock has seriously dropped since his original value in Montreal. But I look at someone like Kochetkov, and I am kind of curious, like, are they aiming for one more year of Anderson and then going Kochetkov and Primo? Is that like, if that's the idea, then they're out of it. But I would be a little bit curious there. But then again, the part with like a goalie like Kochetkov, it's right and wrong for all these weird reasons for the Oilers, because they just crave someone chaotic in net. And I know they're saying like Calvin Pickett's such a calming presence in the room and on the ice. That might be true. But the way he plays is not calming. Pair that with Stuart Skinner.
No, it's ball hockey. It's ball hockey. It's total ball hockey.
Just chaos. Yeah.
It's the ball. Kachekhov's an interesting one. I've always loved him, but then I love that kind of style of goaltender anyhow. Here's the thing about
to watch it. Wouldn't want it on my team.
Oh, it's fantastic to watch, and that's why they keep going back to Freddie Anderson on evergreen deals. 1 year. Like, Freddie's going to be there, like, seemingly forever, just on this evergreen package that he has. Speaking of Carolina, what'd you make of the Keandre Miller trade with the New York Rangers?
It's one of these rare deals I really like for both sides. start with the Canes. I think that the Canes have a knack for maximizing defensemen within their system. They have done it time and time again.
Yes,
they fixed Brent Burns back up. They did it with Dougie Hamilton. They did it with Tony DeAngelo. I mean, come on, like this is what they do.
Keep going.
Yep. And look at Brady Shea once he leaves the Canes.
I know.
It's like the perfect example.
Brett
so I
Pesce,
think that
keep going. Keep going.
There's another. It keeps going. Walker, Shane Gottsbury, look at them on the third pair. You know, like these are guys, they know how to plug them in and they know how to get the best out of them. And I think that K'Andre Miller has all of these raw tools and raw skills to become that guy and become that $7.5 million defenseman. He was never going to be it in New York, though. Ever. It just wasn't. Year after year, the coaching, the decision-making, the pairings they've put him in, you can't blame Jacob Trouba anymore, but you can blame the fact that he was good with Adam Fox. They took him away from Adam Fox, and Phil Housley's system was a wreck, and nobody did anything, right? They never got the best out of him. So I think he needed to start somewhere else to be that guy, and I think the Canes is a perfect landing spot for him. I think the contract is a risk. When you look at the money, could he become the next Esa Lindell? That money's going to look great, but there are also some really scary names that rank similarly to him at this age.
Right.
But I like the bet for them knowing their track record. And I think he brings the skill this blue line needs, right? He's going to play behind Slavin. That's a great thing to have. Yep. Chatfield is a very good partner for him. But I think with the Canes, we know the system works to an extent, but I think if they want to go further than they've gone before, they need more skill within it. I think he's that. From the Rangers side of it, I think Gavrikov is the shutdown presence they wanted K'Andre Miller to become, and they couldn't get him to that level. And after last year's chaos, you can't bet on 100 rebounds and hope it's going to be different under a new coaching staff. At a certain point, you're going to make changes. Is it a good thing to give up on a young guy like K'Andre Miller? No, it is not, right? It's par for the course in New York because they draft these guys and they don't develop them properly. But on the other hand, you look at the contract Gavrikov got, the fit that makes so much sense because we know he's a good shutdown top four guy that can either play with Fox or carry a second pair. And it makes sense. And then you add in someone like Morrow who also has these raw skills and also needs some work, but you're betting on a 22-year-old to become that guy when he's on the last year of his entry-level deal versus the guy looking for a big-time contract like Miller just got. It makes sense for both sides of it. I actually really like the trade on both sides.
Let me ask one more thing about one more team. The New York Islanders, it seems ever since Matthew Darsh took over, it has been, and we can quibble about the Noah Dobson return perhaps. I think they got a really good return on Noah Dobson. There was clearly something there between him and Patrick Waugh. But we'll see how this all plays out as the summer goes along and we try to figure out more of what went wrong with the Islanders and Noah Dobson. But I'll be honest with you. I look at this team now and say, am I allowed to be excited a little bit for the New York Islanders? All of a sudden, signs of life, signs of personality, signs of direction, and not just a Gordian knot of bad contracts to aging players. Like, this is all inside of a couple of weeks here with Matthew Darsh.
Yeah, it just shows why they should have done this way sooner, right?
Well, we all know that. We all know that.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an easy situation to navigate. I'm going to quibble about the fact that I don't think they should have moved on from Dobson. If him and Patrick Waugh didn't get along, guess what? I'm siding with the guy that could win a Norris Trophy one day. I don't care that he wants $10 million.
I'm just wondering if that's what it is. Like, it's got to be something. Yeah. It's got to be something.
Well, and even say it was the contract, you don't want to make that bet, or people, look at it like, oh, okay, but they're going to get Matthew Schaefer. Well, guess what? Your best blue line's going to have both of them, just like now Montreal's going to have Dobson and Hudson. It's a good problem to have too many good defensemen, but I don't think you sell low on someone who's young enough to be a part of the retool. But even if we put all that aside, and forget about the fact that they got 2 draft picks back that you're going to hope someday amount to a player like Noah Dobson. I feel like I'm talking about the Taves trade all over again. But even if we set all that aside, the direction is a breath of fresh air in every which way. This is the kind of thinking you need, because I like that they said, hey, this is what we're retooling and this is how we're going to do it. And they're committing to it, right? I still think there's more to come. There's some bad contracts they might try to get rid of. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate Cizikas and Pajot and players like that. But like someone like Jonathan Drouin, it's going to be interesting to see how he does without Nathan McKinnon. I think on paper, he looks like a good fit with someone like Barzal. That's a lot of skill you can have. And it's not a contract that bogs you down. I think they did a great job at the draft too. And I think it's the first time in a long time you can honestly say that, because the picks in the Lou era were questionable every single time. So now you're actually getting some star potential.
Let me ask you about one player you just mentioned, and that's Casey Cizikas. I know it's not the biggest superstar on the team, but I'll tell you, if I'm Matthew Darsh right now, given how coming off another Stanley Cup victory by the Florida Panthers and how much everybody covets players, quote unquote, like that. He's got 2 years at $2.5 million per, very, very manageable contract. Players like this are very, very attractive right now. If you're Matthew Darsh, do you strike on that right now and move Casey Cizikas? And let me go one step further. Now that Matt Martin has joined as an advisor to the general manager, do you get Matt Martin to tell his teammate that he's been traded? Just cold business. Just kind of like how Mike Greer bought out a former teammate in Marc-Edouard Vlasic. Cold Shayna Goldman. Cold business of hockey. Cold.
I think it would be nice. Hey, bestie, I've gone through this before. I want to let you know, blah, 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 blah. I think it's nice to have a friendly shoulder being the one to deliver that news. So I don't hate that element of it. I agree with you, though, 100%, because at the end of the day, I think Cizikas has always been the most important part of that fourth line, right? That identity, that everything. He was a great penalty killer. You look at the early Trotz years and how good he was. I think he never got his due and the hype he deserved. But having said all that, at the end of the day, he has 2 more years on this contract. And yes, he could be that stabilizing force on the fourth line. You can find that, right? You have replaceable talent. You can find it. And they have so many bottom sixers there that I don't think it's an issue. You trade him to the highest bidder, and he can go on and hopefully actually play for a playoff team for the next years, because his timeline is never going to match up with the teams now that they're committing to this retooling process.
No way.
So you absolutely do it.
I love it. I don't know what your summer plans are, but we're going to go all the way through. Not every day is going to be a reduced schedule. And I'm going to say this and not mean it. We're going to try not to bug you too much.
Yeah, okay.
I can't even say that without laughing.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll call you in a couple weeks. Yeah, what's the text you're going to get from me?
It's a Shay Day.
It's a Shay Day.
Because, you went with it originally, Shayna Day, and I'm like, listen, there's already a name for this. Shea Day. If my friends have plans with me, it's a Shay Day. So
that's right.
I didn't come up with it.
The text
so
you get in the morning.
It's nice.
I send it early, knowing that it's going to take a couple of hours to get a response. Take no offense.
You know what? I saw it this morning, and I went to answer it, and I saw it. I was up at like 8:30, and I just I see my texts, and I leave them unread, because if I click them, I know I'll never circle back. And I was like, after coffee. I'm not there yet.
Deal with him after coffee.
I'll deal with any text, and because I can read it and process it, but I don't know if my text will be legible back.
Dude, you're the best. It is once again finish this sentence. It is the summer of
dill. Oh yes! My God, I got a new chip. I will send you.
Do you have it nearby?
Later. Costco hat.
Do you have it nearby?
No,
can you do show and tell?
Don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't have it nearby. My sister was at Costco and was on the hunt for them. They are, I think, Grillo's pickle
my favorite
potato
pickles.
chips. Yeah.
What? Grillo's making potato chips?
They're at Costco. It's like a Costco. I don't know if it's an exclusive, but they have them there. It's of course a Costco size bag. Very excited. I will give you a nice review. I let you know about the Sonic ones. I let you know about the ones at the Met game. Yeah. Now I just need the dill pickle ramen. Like cup of noodles, dill pickle ramen.
Dill pickle ramen? Oh, I love that dill pickle. Was it dill pickle lemonade you sent me? The picture you sent me, dill pickle lemonade.
Oh, yeah, that was Popeyes.
How was it?
That was good. They also had Sonic. They had this pickle slushy, but I didn't get it because I was already getting another drink, and I was like, you know what? Let me focus on the food element of it. I want to circle. I want to go back there. I was like, you know what? It's too much pickle. I didn't know if it'd be overwhelming or if it would take away from the flavor of something else. And I was really curious on the burger, tots, and fries. So I was like, let me focus here.
I admire your discipline. I would have just gone for quality over quantity, volume. I don't care how smug it is.
That's usually my move.
It's like the old chocolate chip witch. How much more chocolatey can I be?
Never enough.
All right, you're the best. Let's chat soon. Thanks so much for sharing your brain with us for 30 minutes. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you too.
From The Athletic and the Too Many Men podcast. First star always. Love her. Okay, Zach, as we wind things down here, we got one more thing to do, but I want to tell people sort of what the schedule is going to be in the next little while. You are going somewhere. So
Yes.
you are getting up into the Magic Jet and taking off with your significant other. Now, how long you gone?
Yes. 14 days.
And you are going to
Portugal. Off to Portugal for 14 days, stopping around in a bunch of different spots in Portugal while we're there. So should be a lot of fun. I've never. Oh, this is going to shock you after you found out that I haven't traveled across Canada. I've never really gone anywhere in Europe. So, like, I've been to Sweden, Finland.
You've been to the hockey countries. You've been to the hockey countries in Europe.
I played hockey when I went there. I played tournaments there. And then,
I love it.
So
I've been to
gonna
Europe,
go
the hockey
Portugal
countries.
for 2 weeks.
Okay, so I've never been to Portugal. Always wanted to go. Looks beautiful, wonderful people. Cork, lemons, and diving dogs. That's what I want full reports on, because those are the three things that I know about Portugal: cork, lemons, and diving dogs.
Okay, sounds good. I've got you should see. You guys should see the stuff my girlfriend has loaded up for me.
No.
Like, I have a new wardrobe. Like, I have
what are you wearing?
New sunglasses and everything. I've got all the collared shirts, linen pants. Like, it's all on my bed beside me right now.
Did she get you one of those bathing suits? Did she get you a bathing suit that's so tight we can see what religion you are?
No, none of that. I refuse. That's not happening. No, none of that.
Okay, well, I'll have to clear that from your mind, everybody. But I'm sure you'll have a great time. That's awesome. Come back refreshed. We're off for a couple of days here, so this program will return on Monday. Am I getting Vacation Vic to produce? Am I really getting Vic?
Yeah, how about that? I'm going on vacation.
You're on vacation,
and you're getting
Vic.
Vacation Vic.
Well, it's because the Cuppa boys are done too, right? So Vic's sitting around counting his toes, so he's got to do something.
Yeah.
So he might as well do this program.
Yeah.
So that starts on Monday.
So also, I tried to set this up so that I wasn't missing as much of the show, but it's it's hard when we start breaking down the schedule of everything.
Yeah.
We start ramping up. We were told hey, maybe we're going to be doing some stuff in August there that we'll work through, and we'll talk through some ideas and everything. So we got to be back for August, and then Alberga goes away, which means I host Morning Take when he goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes away in August, so I've got to be here for that. And I was like, okay, I think this is the only time. And I'm like, well, it is what it is. And then the more we go, you know how you made the joke about before the draft on Friday, you're like, oh yeah, it's going to end up being a 5-hour draft. And I said, don't say that. And it ended up being a 5-hour draft.
5-hour draft.
It was you kept saying, you've made a joke a couple of times where you were like, well, the hockey season pushes longer and longer.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend will tune into the show, and she's heard you say that, and she's like, is he serious? We're booking this trip. We're supposed to be going away. And I'm like, I was like, we'll figure it out.
Tell him to shut up. Tell him to stop. He's giving me anxiety here. I can't sleep at night. There's only so much ZzzQuil I can drink. I need to be able to have a good night's sleep here.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll be okay. We'll figure it out. So yeah, I'm off. But then
here's what you need. Here's what you need to do.
Tanned,
here's what you need to do
running.
then. When you're all chilled out, you're on the beach, right? Just after a long night, maybe you've had a couple of glasses of wine. Just nuzzle up next to her and whisper into her ear. In 2 years, it'll be 84 games a season.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll add a round of playoffs.
They'll add a play-in round too.
Exactly.
It's to juice the revenue. Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
So the last time for a couple of weeks for you and me on this one. The sheet is powered by FanDuel, home of the same game parlay. Make every moment more on FanDuel. FanDuel, proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. What are we talking about today? No draft. Agency winding down. What do our friends at FanDuel have up their sleeve? What do they got cooking? What are we doing?
This one's not that exciting. I tried. This one was tough, but in the nature of coming off of free agency and winners and losers, I went to the 2026 or 2025-2026. That is Stanley Cup winners board, and I found this: the Florida Panthers are now in sole possession of first place of the leader for the Stanley Cup odds for next season. It was the Carolina Hurricanes. The Panthers were behind them. The Golden Knights have jumped up from about 6th, and where they were about plus 1,000, plus 1,100, depending on when you were looking, into 3rd. The Oilers slid down a bit. The Stars moved up a little bit. Is there anybody, in your opinion, that is missing from here that maybe... I mean, I guess it's hard because we're talking about how we don't want to crown winners and losers, where the Preds probably would have been up there after yesterday. But anybody that you think like we're missing, I'm missing, FanDuel's missing, or was demoted too much?
No, you know what? I know it's been tough recently. I always have a hard time betting against Tampa. And I always think that Tampa has the horses to win the Stanley Cup. I really, really do. And for the Florida Panthers, like, doesn't all of this have to catch up to you eventually? Like, when you talk about, like, this is like a literal Stanley Cup hangover. Like, when's the last time, maybe Washington? Yeah, you haven't. When's the last time you saw a team party this hard after winning the Stanley Cup and pushing their summer training off another week, get another week, get another week, get another week, get another week? Eventually, it's got to catch up to you, right? They can't keep doing this, right? Back to the Stanley Cup final again, 4 years in a row. I don't know, man. Like, I know they've kept the band together, and everyone's in love with them. Great team. Why not? One of the best teams this era. Hands down. Fantastic. It's got to catch up to you. All these games.
Yeah. The thing is, like, the weather. You feel better.
You do.
You talked about that. You talked to players. You feel better from it. You recover easier. You recover better.
Yes.
Maybe some of them stay down there. Like, all those things are very real.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, whenever I go to Florida, like, I feel great when I wake up in the morning. I feel awesome. Like, all throughout the day, your body feels so good.
The other thing to throw out is, like, the extended breaks that will be experienced that haven't been last year and this upcoming season between Four Nations and Olympics. I feel like it almost, not completely, but it like levels the playing field a little bit more, because not everybody on Florida is going to the Olympics. Not everybody on every other team is going to the Olympics either, but like,
yeah,
it's a lessened schedule. It's not going to be as physical at the Olympics this year. Relative to Four Nations, that is, I'm trying to say, because just by nature of how the game's officiated, it can't be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, does that help even it out? Like, I do think that kind of gives Florida that.
You know what's going to happen?
Fresh air.
You know what's going to happen? Again, not that you're cheering for it, but it's just a reality of things that are going to happen. We've seen it with Hasek. We've seen it with Tavares. The Olympics is going to cost someone in the playoffs. Going to either cost them a playoff spot or cost them a shot at the Stanley Cup. Some team's goalie. Like, I always go back to that Dominic Hasek and his like angel hair past the groin. That just like pop, and then that was it for the Ottawa Senators, man. They would beg him to get on the ice. Try. Nope. If I'm not 100%, I'm not stepping on the ice. It costs the Sens. Like, the Sens of that era were probably in this. I had to think about it more, but off the top of my head, I would say the Ottawa Senators of this past 20 years, the best team not to win the Stanley Cup. When they had Hasek.
Yeah.
And the Olympics is going to have a body count. It will. It always will. Plus, the guys are going to be going like crazy to win a gold medal.
It is true, yeah. The effort will be there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be longer than Four Nations. It's not just going to be 3 games. And then they're on to the fun.
But it's drawn. It's what? It's guaranteed 5, isn't it? Or is it longer than that? I'm kind of speaking out of my ass here. I don't know what the number is.
I think it might be longer than that. I think it might be longer than that, but I'm speaking out of my ass too. I'm not 100% sure. But still, like, those games are going to be super intense. I can't wait for it. It's going to be great.
People don't come here for facts.
We all want it. Listen, if you want facts, Zach and I are going to have to get paid more. It's a message to Jay Downton, our boss. You're like, I'm sorry. Hate to negotiate on the air, but if you want us to, like, tell the truth and have facts and stuff,
yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's not part of the deal. Listen, that's it for the program today. We are back on Monday, so a couple of days off. Dude, enjoy yourself in Portugal. Have a great time. Remember, I want to report on 3 things. Do you remember what they are?
Corks, Jumping dogs.
Diving dogs. Not close enough.
Diving dogs.
Lemons.
What was the other?
Lemons.
Why the lemons? I know the other two.
Isn't it like they'll have like the most lemon trees in the world? Portugal?
I don't know.
You're about to find out.
My girlfriend probably knows.
Your girlfriend's going to be like, how come you
out.
don't know? Like, you idiot. Like, do you fall down a flight of stairs? Like, yeah, Portugal and lemons. Now, every time you go by a lemon tree in Portugal, you need to think about me.
So yeah, it's going to happen. I'm going to point at them and like,
hey, hon, look, another lemon tree. Will you stop talking about Marek? Leave the show back home. Stop it.
Yeah. I don't even know what days we're going to what. She has that. She has the itinerary. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll see how it goes.
It's like my old co-host Bill Waters used to say, Jeffy, I'm like a goat's prick. I go where I'm put. Just go where you're put. Just go where you're put, Zach. Just let her lead you along. There you go. On that lovely note, thanks to Jonas Siegel for stopping by the show today. Thanks to the great Shayna Goldman for stopping by as well. Thanks to you for yesterday and today and all season long. Not that we're wrapping up here. We're just going to go to a different style of schedule, but we ain't going anywhere. No, sir. We're not one of these like we're heading off to the cottage and peace out. We'll see you at training camp. No chance. Still things happening, so we're still going to talk about it here on the sheet. Hope to have you aboard for all of it. Thanks for all of your attention since I came aboard here at the Nation Network. Thanks to all the fun in the chat, which is always lively and sometimes insulting too. And now we have a fight challenge in today's chat, which is interesting as well. So that's a little bit of spice in the chili. Thanks so much for everything. The show goes off the air, back on the air again on Monday at 3 o'clock Eastern. I have no idea what's happening with the other shows right now. Morning Cup of Hockey, they're gone. I may try to drag Laz or Colby onto one of my broadcasts here, but they may just say I'm peaced out for the summer, and I can respect that. But I hope to have you aboard, either your ears or your eyeballs or both. Thanks so much for the support. We'll talk to you on Monday. If you enjoyed that video, and we certainly hope that you do, please hit the subscribe button right there here at Daily Faceoff. I will put this lineup up against any hockey lineup anywhere. It all gets underway at 9 o'clock Eastern with Morning Cup of Hockey. That is Johnny Lazarus. That is Colby Cohen. Then at noon, it's DFO Live. And then 3 o'clock Eastern, The Sheet. Get caught up on everything in hockey.